Hello everyone, this is Ms. Bushra Baz, a biology teacher from Zhyar English High School and Zhyar English Institute. This video marks the beginning of a short exam prep series. Here, I'm going to solve exam style questions like in the Wizari and teach you the strategies and the misconceptions and the vocabularies that are needed. So please, I encourage you to screenshot each question and solve it by yourself, then check it with me to see what you've done and how you're going to correct your mistakes. So let's start. The first question, of course, I start in a sequel, like from chapter 1, and then we're going to go on like that. It's about the body cavities, and we have a diagram. This is a very good thing because diagrams are easy and you can recall from memory. Here in this diagram, before anything, let's read the question. It says, according to the Aegison diagram, which cavity contains the pulmonary circuit? Pulmonary circuit, we know about it, and the cavity. There are two different chapters. But before anything, let me try to find out the names of each cavity for me to, to make it easier for myself. So we have 5 cavities, as you can see. The first one is the cranial cavity, the spinal, I'm going to use short for cavity, and thoracic, then abdominal, and pelvic. All of them are cavities. Cavities are space where they're encased with bones in order for organs and vital ones are protected behind it. See? It says pulmonary circuit. We learned that circulatory system is actually 2 parts, the cardiovascular and the lymphatic. What we're going to talk about is the cardiovascular. If I'm going to use any of these systems, okay, instead of this one, it's going to take up all the cavities. That's for sure because blood reaches everywhere. But here it's specified further. We know that cardiovascular system is actually 2 more parts. For making it easier, we made it 2 more parts. The one here is pulmonary and then systemic circuit. Systemic circuit is for all the body, but pulmonary is the circuit where the blood gets purified. Where? In the lungs, because we want to oxygenize it, because we want to put extra oxygen in it for the body. So what happens here, it is between heart and lungs. So it's a circuit just between these 2 organs. In that case, we're going back to our original thing that we know about it, original study. We know that heart and lung, both of them located in the thoracic cavity. So every vessel between these 2 and everything else is just going to be confined in the same area. It doesn't go out of this area. So instead of saying heart and lung where they're located, we're going to say pulmonary circuit. That takes us to the thoracic cavity, the chest one, which is number 3. That's how we got our answer, number 3. Good. This is easy. We're warming up. Let's move on to the second question. In the second question, it's also about cavity, but this time it's talking about pelvic cavity, a more specific one. Number 5 is pelvic cavity, just for your information. Is primarily formed by the bones of, okay, we said that cavities are encased by bones to protect the organs there. And we know that the pelvic cavity is named after the bone surrounding it, which is the pelvis. Pelvis, we should find out which type of skeleton it is. Is it axial? Is it appendicular? Or it is made of soft tissues? We're going to take this one out, eliminate it to raise our chance of getting a correct answer, since we know that bones are not soft tissue. Or A, B, and B together. Here, there is a keyword too. Primarily means the major ones, the major bones that are contributing in making that. So not just any bone or all of them. If you remind yourself that the axial skeleton is the skeleton that located on the axis of the body in the center, and there are 4 with their parts, the skull, the vertebrae, and the sternum, the chest bone, and the ribs. There is no mention of the pelvis. So pelvis actually is appendicular. It's not axial. We can't choose that since we took A out. This is out too. The answer remaining is B, appendicular skeleton. Questions like that tries to expand your knowledge, tries to make it to see if you can recognize patterns and analyze information that are mentioned between two different chapters. We're doing great now. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, let's check this one out. It says, why the pancreas considered an integration of organ or organ system? See, questions like that, they're very nice and it's going to challenge you. Why? Because if you see the choices and you read them, try to read them, you will see that there's nothing that's wrong about pancreas. Everything mentioned here is just right. But is this how we're going? Let's see. Let's see what we're going to choose. See, it says because it produces both glucagon and insulin, that's why it's considered an integration of organ system. No, producing insulin and glucagon, yes, it is the function of pancreas, but it's actually not telling you that it is integration of one organ or organ system. It is just, it's part of endocrine and creates two hormones. Has nothing to do with integration. Why? Because integration means the ability of two systems to work together or more, two systems or more to work together for performing one action. Like for example, during swimming, your skeletal system, your muscular system, the breathing system, and then the circulatory system all together work for the person to swim. See, this is integration of system. We have also integration of organ. Integration of organ is when two systems have one organ common between both of them. One example is pancreas. But the reason why pancreas is considered that we should find it out, it's not because of the hormones, of course, okay? Alone, hormones, no. And it says here made of epithelial and connective tissue. Epithelial and connective tissue. Having two different tissue doesn't make you integration of an organ system. It's actually making it an organ. Having different tissue means it's an organ. And this is not what a question asks us. See, number 3 tells us that it's part of digestive system because it creates the enzymes, and it's part of the endocrine system because it creates these two hormones. This is integration of organ system, not these two. So our answer is C. Why this is a bit twisted? It's because every part is correct about pancreas, but it doesn't meet the requirement of the question. We're doing great until now. Let's move on. Tables. I know that most of you get intimidated by tables. It's not your favorite. But actually, I think it's a cheat sheet. Okay? Why? Because in tables, although there's a lot of information that might make you scared, but in reality, you can choose where you start. And it makes it so easy for elimination, especially. Elimination is a part of very, very interesting part of the multiple choice questions, because it's going to raise your chance of getting a right answer sometimes like 2 times higher, like from 25% to 50%. Let's try to answer this question and you will see. Bones are, so we're talking about bone, and there is structure, consistency, and tissue. Here it says moist or dry, soft or rigid, dead or living. Let's say that you're not too confident about your information, but one of these is easy to spot. The consistency. We all know that bones are rigid, they're not soft, right? So once you decide that, it means that the softs are wrong. If in a line here of a table, 2 are correct, 1 is wrong, this answer is gone. Eliminate it. If 1 is here wrong, you don't need to even check the rest of it. Eliminate it. All 3 or all 4 should be correct in order for you to choose that answer. So without any further ado, A and B are out. We don't need to check the rest of it. Good. Now we raised our answer by from 25 to 50%. The second thing we're going to talk about it is something that even your grandma will know. That a bone is a living thing, not dead. Why? Because bone grow and they can heal. This is something only a living thing can do. See, it's easy to spot. So rigid and living. I did not even need to think about these two. It's automatically, this is out. So we're going to take this as an answer. And yes, it's correct. Since there is a lot of blood vessels penetrating it, the bone are not rigid. They have periosteum and blood vessels and nerves, and it makes it moist. Good. We're on to a good start. I hope you answered it clearly. This question is a bit tricky, okay? But let's try to use all our information that we know about it. And please highlight the keywords, not underline it, try to circle it. Especially if there's certain keywords that we're gonna go through it. It says, which of the following cells, so we're looking for cells, okay, found in the epiphyseal plates. Epiphyseal plates are part, okay, of the bone, at the end of the long bone especially, that are helping the bone to elongate. We studied there. And we said that epiphyseal plates are made of two things, the cartilage and the blood vessels. According to what we said, the cartilage, you can see clearly, it says leukocyte and erythrocyte, cartilage cells, see? Osteocyte, that's bone cells. If it's cartilage, it's not bone, so we cannot choose that. A and B together. Of course, normally we choose B. Very easy, right? But no, we should think it through. Do you know what's the meaning of these two? We studied it in chapter 2, section 2. Leukocyte equals to white blood cells, while erythrocyte is another name for, sorry about that, let's erase it, for the red blood cells. Aren't these two part of the blood vessels? Aren't they inside it? Yes. So if a scientist tries to extract all the cells from that area, of course there will be blood and white blood cells in it. So this area not only holds cartilage cells, but both of them. That means that this answer is wrong, and we're gonna switch it to A and B together. That's it. Things are getting easier. Just try to use your knowledge. Try to use it, and even if you have something else you know about it, bring them together, try to analyze them, and you're going to do great. Elimination is also a very good tactic, by the way. We're still at chapter 1, question 6. Here it says, which of the following contributes to the flexibility of the skeleton? We studied the functions of the part of the bones, and one thing that makes our skeletal system so good and well developed is that it is flexible at certain points. It's rigid, but it's not, fixed in its place and you cannot move it. Let's see which one of these is actually adding to this flexibility. The cartilage at the end of some bones. You see, bones are like that. Let's try to bring the pen. Bones are like that, right? Here, there's always a layer of cartilage that pads it and try to reduce the friction, absorb shock, and give some flexibility. This is written in your book, that it gives it flexibility. So this is right. As for the joints, yes. If I don't have joints, how could I use my pen here? How could I write? How could I talk? Nothing could be moved. So the joints are giving us permeability to flex and move and, bend and twist. It's very good. We got here by our own. We did great. Then cavities without bone surrounding it. The cavity, especially, we're talking about, is the abdominal cavity. The abdominal cavity has no bone on the frontal side, makes it flexible. If you bend Okay, if there was a bone, for example, and if you tried to bend, you couldn't. If a female is pregnant, not having bone isn't giving it enough flexibility for the baby to grow. So our skeleton is designed so perfectly that even reducing bone is giving more flexibility to it. That's good. The answer is all of the above. See? This is just recalling from memory, but also joining all the information that are common between each other. Flexibility is mentioned in multiple areas. I brought them all together and put them in one question so that you understand that sometimes these information come back together. And try to write these things on one sheet. It's going to be a good recipe for your studying. Okay, a new style of question. Let's see that. It gave us 3 different characteristics. And I presume, since it says involuntary, we're talking about muscles. So we see muscles here all over. Before I start questions like that, I'm not going to panic. I'll just try to memorize, bring all the things that I memorized and bring it back and write it here. The first thing is the involuntary. We have 3 types of muscle. 2 of them are involuntary, the cardiac and the smooth muscle. The only one that is voluntary working, it means that you consciously control it, is the skeletal muscle. So it's not skeletal muscle, it must be what? The cardiac and the smooth muscle. I'm just going to use these to make it faster. Branched. We know for sure that the skeletal muscle is very long, very, very long, and it doesn't have any branch. While the smooth muscles are shorter and interlaced on each other, this didn't mention anything about being branched. The only one that is branched is actually the cardiac muscle. Let's put the letter here. As for multinucleated, it means it has a lot of nucleuses. This is a characteristic definitely goes for the skeletal muscle. Got it? It's for skeletal muscle. Since we have 2 options here, we're not going to start on this side. Let's start from this side. It's fine. It's just like the table. Let's look for skeletal muscle. These 2 are smooth, these 2 are skeletal. Easy. Once one of them is wrong, the entire multiple choice is gone. Done. Now we raise from 25% chance of getting a right answer to 50%. Let's go to the second one. I'm still not going to use the first one because this is not going to help me. This is right. This is right. Let's use another color. As for the second one, being branched is something the cardiac muscle have. There you go. Smooth muscle don't have this. So I got my answer. My answer is that involuntary like cardiac muscle, branched like cardiac muscle, multinucleated like skeletal muscle. Even if I switch this with a smooth muscle, it's going to work. We don't have any problem because it's still an involuntary. Okay? Good. Let's move on to question 8. In question 8, it says the difference between cardiac muscle and smooth muscle is that smooth muscle, see, this is not very hard, but there is a trick here. In questions like that, the way it's rephrased, it requires a bit of English proficiency. If you see that something is mentioned like that and asks you for the difference, okay, or similarity, major of the times is about the differences, cardiac and smooth muscle, and then in the last it mentions one of them back, says smooth muscle is. So we're going to actually look for something that smooth muscle have, but cardiac doesn't have it. Okay? Smooth muscle have, but cardiac doesn't have it. Why? Because it's mentioned at the second time. According to that, we're going to answer. Check this out. Have 1 nucleus. Does smooth muscle have it? Yes. But does cardiac have it too? Yeah, that means it's a similarity. It's not a difference. We cannot use that. Similarities are out of question when it's asking for difference, even if it's correct for smooth muscle. Serrated means they have the lines. Smooth muscle, it says smooth. It doesn't have it. So cardiac muscle have it, but smooth doesn't. This is correct for cardiac, but our question asks for the smooth muscle. Something correct for that one. So this one is out too. What about interlaced to form sheet? Yes. This is something only smooth muscle does, not the cardiac. So we're going to choose this. Why not D? Because A is correct for both of them, but we don't want that. We want it only for smooth muscle. However, there is something else I want you to know. The question, I'm going to rephrase it and change it, and the answer is going to change. Let's say, cardiac muscle is different than smooth muscle in that. So what are we looking for here? It didn't mention cardiac nor smooth muscle twice. So how would we know? In questions like that, where it's only mentioned once here and once here, the first one is what we look for. The cardiac muscle is different than smooth muscle. It means that we're gonna choose a characteristic for cardiac muscle. In that case, we were going to choose B. Okay? The phrasing of the question changed the answer. So be careful of this. That's why I always say biology needs a certain level of English proficiency that's going to help you. Try to build your vocabulary for these things. In question 9, it says, which sequence correctly describes the process of myosin-actin interaction during a single cycle of muscle contraction? Let's remind ourselves with muscle contraction by a simple drawing. Let's bring the colors and let's try to draw it. Myosin is the thick filament, if you remember it. This is myosin. I'm not going to draw anything more for now. And then we have the actins, where the thin filaments are twisted around each other on both sides. I'm going to make it as simple as possible because it's for solving questions. These are the Z lines, if you didn't forget. See, at the beginning, we have these heads of the myosin that are relaxed and not touching the actin. But then, after the attachment of this, let's see, if it attaches, it brings it like that. And then it moves forward, changing the shape. I'm going to draw the shape here. It's going to bring it forward. These two lines are going to come closer. If we're like giving it a bit of a movement here, it's going to get closer like that because of that movement. Attachment and then pulling towards each other, okay? The myosin, by the way, is not moving. The actin is moving. So the Z lines are coming closer, the sarcomere getting shorter. Good. The thing here is that we need to do it multiple of times before the actins are going to overlap on each other. So the head should detach and reattach and pull again. Detaching needs ATP, not attaching. Detaching. Let's imagine like that. If you put a sticker, okay, on, like for example, on a surface, it's easy. But pulling it requires more force. It's the same thing. So taking it away, it requires more force. So the oval head, in order for it to detach, it requires energy. Let's see which one of these is telling us that it starts with attach. Attach, pull, correct. Let's change the color. Detach using ATP, that's correct actually. And then rest, okay, and then reattach, and the process is going to continue. Everything was right here. But before I choose my answer, I already decided, but let me check just in case, okay? It says attaching using ATP. Wrong from the beginning. I don't need to even check the rest of it because the beginning was wrong. Attachment doesn't require any ATP. Detach, push, there is no pushing in muscle. You don't even need to think about it. No pushing here as well. Muscles are only pulling, okay? So they contract. In order for them to relax and go back to its original extended state, they require another muscle to pull them, which we call it opposing pairs or antagonist muscles. It's easy. It's actually very fun to answer these questions. You can see, strategize, try to recall what you have in memory, and then apply it on the question slowly. We're doing great. Let's move on. Question 10. Question 10, it says, which of the following is the primary cause of oxygen debt after exercise? Why do we have oxygen debt? First, when somebody is exercising vigorously, the amount of oxygen in the body is not sufficient. So they have to switch to anaerobic respiration to compensate for that because the oxygen is getting depleted so much. Depletion means getting low. And then soon after, maybe about 30 seconds, 40 seconds, the body gets used to it again and the breathing gets heavier, faster. The brain stimulates that and the heart rate gets faster in order for you to accommodate to the exercise, heavy exercise that you're doing. So this is why we have it. But when you stop the exercise, why the breathing doesn't go back to its original state? You still feel like this. Why? Why you're out of breath? Why you need more? It's because that short period of time where you switch from aerobic using oxygen to anaerobic without using oxygen, breaking down glucose and getting energy, anaerobic, this created lactic acid. Okay? This lactic acid is going to diffuse out of the muscle cell and go to the blood. And from then to their last destination, liver. But since it's a metabolic waste, it's not normal in the body, we should get rid of it. That oxygen that you inhale even after the exercise and your breathing still didn't go back to normal, it's extra oxygen used to break down the lactic acid that is in liver and make energy out of it again. Once the lactic acid is gone, the breathing goes back to normal. So our answer is lactic acid. Got it? So buildup of carbon dioxide has nothing to do with dehydration, has nothing to do with temperature, has nothing to do with this. It's all about the lactic acid. We're done with questions of chapter 1. Now we're going for chapter 2. We're starting with the heart. It's one of my favorite chapters. Very fun. Let's see. Questions like that are actually very interesting. Let's see, what does it say? It says, which blood vessel has a relatively low carbon dioxide? I'm going to make a diagram for myself. It's always helping me to shorten and make my own notes. So, low carbon dioxide, it says high oxygen, okay, O2, high, and then it's low blood pressure. Okay, having these two means we have an oxygenated blood. It's full of oxygen. Probably came back from the lungs, right? Then low blood pressure. Low blood pressure is a characteristic of vein, not artery. So we have a vein that has oxygenated blood. And we know the only vein does that is actually the vein that comes back from the lung, pulmonary vein. Here I'm looking for pulmonary vein, but I don't see anything because there's numbers that are labeling this picture. I have to find out which one of these is actually the pulmonary vein. According to what we'll learn, veins are attached to the atria, not the ventricle, the upper chambers, the smaller, thinner upper chambers. So I'm going to, think that it's either these or let's say this is Y, okay? Even 6 is Y because we have 4 pulmonary veins, all right? According to what we said, they are attached here. These are pulmonary veins and they are number 5 and 6. Why not the others? You can clearly see that number 2 and 3 are vena cava with deoxygenated blood. Number 4 is pulmonary artery, takes deoxygenated blood to the lungs. And then aorta has a high pressure, actually the highest pressure of all the other vessels. So it's not going to apply. It's pulmonary vein and it's 5 and 6. Why 5 and 6, 2 of them? Because we actually have 4 pulmonary veins. All of them, even this one goes from the back and attached back to the left atria. We're doing great. See, breaking down, making small notes is going to do a lot for you. Let's take a screenshot of this one and let's start. Oh, this question, I call it cinnamon roll could kill you. Why? Because it appears to be very simple question, but it has like a very, small twist in it. It says the direction of blood flow in the arteries. Okay, we know that arteries and veins are not called arteries and veins because of the type of blood they have it, but actually from the direction of the blood flow. Let's make a simple diagram. Let's think that this is heart. The ones that are going away from the heart are actually arteries. Remember, arteries going away, A and A. And the ones that bring back or goes towards the heart, they are veins. No matter what they have, oxygenated blood or deoxygenated blood, it doesn't matter. It just goes back. According to that, we have arteries. What is their direction? Is it towards the heart? No. We said it's away from the heart. Okay? So we're gonna take this one out. This says away from the heart. We're gonna choose it as a right answer. But are we gonna stop here? No. Let's check the rest of it. Never ever stop from A and B, nor even C. You have to check every single one of them. Maybe there's a twist. The twist, let's see if this is a twist actually. Towards the lungs. We said that arteries are not towards, but we did not say towards the lungs. We said towards the heart. It's not the same. Check this out. If this is heart and the artery goes away from the heart, but it goes towards the other organs. One of the organs is lungs. It's a different perspective. It's like if I see a ball thrown, from my perspective, it's thrown that way. But if I was standing there, it's coming toward me. It's the same thing. The blood from the arteries goes towards the organs, but away from heart only, while it's opposite for the veins. So if I stopped here, I was getting a wrong answer. It looked easy, but it had a twist. So B and C together are the correct answer. See? Okay. This one is the correct answer. Yeah, let's choose it. Good. Good. We're doing great. Question 14. It says lymphatic system is similar to cardiovascular system in that, in what way? Let's see. Both are part of the circulatory system. We're looking for what? Similarity. Are they both a part of circulatory system? Yes. Cardiovascular and lymphatic system are both circulating liquids in the vessels, so that's correct. Both have leukocyte. Leukocytes equals to white blood cell. We already said that. And yes, the lymph have white blood cells, and also the red blood cell, bloods have the white blood cells too. That's correct. Spleen is a part of both systems. That's not correct. The spleen is actually working as a lymphatic system, okay, an organ from lymphatic system. We did not mention it in the cardiovascular system. So the answer is A and B together. See, this is something I wanted to put for similarity and an easy question. Question 15. Which of the following is normally absent in plasma? We've learned that plasma has cells in them, plasma has proteins in them, and electrolytes, ions, and stuff like that. Let's see what can we find here. Albumin is a protein that is always present in the plasma. That's not correct. We can't choose that. And then we have fibrinogen. Fibrinogen, normally this is like a protein for blood clotting, and it's present, it's ready. If there is a bleeding, they can take it immediately. You can't wait if somebody is bleeding, it's an emergency. You can't wait for the body to produce fibrinogen. So they're normally there. So this is not absent from the plasma. The question requires something that's absent. What about Rh antibody? Rh antibody is also a protein, but we did not say antibody alone, we said Rh. See, the blood negative, okay, let's say X, any type of blood, A, B, O, negative, any blood negative have ability to create Rh antibody. See what I said, ability to create it. They don't have it. Why? Because this Rh antibody only created when there is an introduction of a positive type of blood to the negative one. But usually that doesn't happen. Maybe the person lives their entire life without having any encountering with a positive blood type, right? So it doesn't create, not wasting resources or energy. That's why Rh antibody on their normal circumstances, you can find it. This is our answer. Let's check the last one just to confirm it. Platelets. Platelets are fragments of cells and they're always there, just like fibrinogen and albumin. If they are required, they're always there for stopping the bleeding. So it's out of question. Okay? Rh antibody is our answer. We're at question 16. It's about blood type. This gives a lot of nightmare to many students. But I developed a strategy that even my grade 7 students were able to answer every single one of the questions because of it. So grab a pen and a pencil and try it for yourself. You see, here it says we have a blood type with no antibody, no context, nothing. And you can use your finger to measure it or count it. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a table 3 by 3. I've already prepared it here. Let's see. There you go. There you go. Let's check it. See, my table says this line tells you about the antibody, and this is the antigen on the surface of the red blood cells. And we have A, B, and Rh. According to this question, we say we don't have any antibody. So before I answer it, I have a rule for you. In order to fill in this, you could fill it with ticks or crosses. You have 3 of this and 3 of this. The rule is that if you use a tick here, you cannot use a cross here. Same goes for this side. Cross, tick, like that. They're always opposite of each other. So according to my question, if there's no antibody, it means all crossed. That leaves us with the ticks. You don't even need to think about it. Automatically, it fills itself. Then we take the name of the blood type based on the antigen. That's a short for antigen. It is AB positive. There's no AB positive, but there's AB. Our answer is AB. There you go. It could be applied on any type of blood. Just use it and tell me in the comments if you liked it. Our next question, 17, is about erythroblastosis fetalis. It's a condition where a mother has a negative Rh in the blood, but the baby had a dominant gene from the father and now have a positive blood type. This creates a problem for the baby if there is a breach between the blood and the mom develops an Rh antibody, okay? This is going to kill it. The Rh antibody from the mom's body kills the baby if it reaches it. I said it, if, not all the time. So this conditions is not applying on all time. But what we learned here, that the mom must be Rh negative, not dad. And one of them must be positive for the baby to be positive. So if it was like mom negative, dad negative, you don't need to think about it. If it's like mom positive, dad negative, no, that doesn't work because the carrier is the mom. She's going to be pregnant. She will have problem with like breaching between the blood, not the dad. So these are not working. Elimination is a very good strategy to start your question. Then we end up with what? All of these are saying the same. Fathers are Rh positive, mothers are Rh negative, and then the babies are Rh positive. So what is the difference here? You see? Child was first born or second born. What's the difference between these two? To develop erythroblastosis fetalis, there must be a contact between the blood of mom and the baby. And we learned something. We said Rh antibody are not normally present in the mom's body. And this breaching happens during the birth, where the mixing of the blood happens usually. And then the mom develops while the baby's out of the body. So the firstborn never get the erythroblastosis fetalis if the mom never had the Rh antibody. The firstborns don't get it. But since the mom created that one, the secondborn, unfortunately, will develop this if it is not medically interfered. So our question says, which one of these most likely is going to develop it? the child, the second one, if the father is Rh positive, mother is Rh negative, and the child itself is Rh positive, even though they look the same, but the first one don't get it. Good? Very nice. Let's move on. We have this question. It says the functional units of the respiratory system must be what? See, functional unit is your keyword. Functional unit is where the action happens. Action of what? Of the respiratory system. What's the whole purpose of respiratory system? Gaseous exchange, right? So which part is changing or exchanging gas? Is it the mouth? Is it the trachea? Where? It's actually the smallest unit at the end of the whole system because it's a tract. Most of this system acts like a pathway. They don't act for changing or exchanging the air, okay, with the tissue. Until we reach the tiniest little sacs that are thin, they are like very, very well designed, that has a lot of capillaries surrounding them, and it's also have high surface area. These are called alveoli. So in respiratory muscle is not the functional unit. It helps to bring air inside the lung, but it's not exchanging gas. And the bronchi and bronchioles, they are just a pathway, while the tiny air sacs is what we're looking for. Since we say A and B are wrong, D is definitely wrong. We don't need to think about it. Then still, we have something about this chapter. It says low iron in the diet. Diet means food that you eat. May affect what? Where did we hear about iron? In the blood. Which part? Red blood cells, right? Red blood cells contain something called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a protein, okay, that has 4 irons attached to it. Those iron, each one of them have the ability to attach to one oxygen molecule. So it definitely gonna affect, if you have low iron, means you have low hemoglobin, it definitely affects the oxygen. Let's not forget about it. It says here may affect. So this is something we're looking for. But is that all? No. Why? Because CO2 is transported in 3 ways. One of the ways is hemoglobin, all right? But let's find out if it's the one that we're talking about. Let's clear this up and bring it. CO2 is transported, okay, as bicarbonate. Bicarbonate is where H2O in the plasma combines with the CO2 and creates the bicarbonate and bicarbonic acid. And then it's attaching or binding to hemoglobin. And then we also have it dissolved in plasma. The difference between dissolving in plasma and becoming bicarbonate is that this is with a reaction. This is just CO2 in a liquid, so it just dissolved the same, molecular compound. Here, we need to do something. This has nothing to do with the hemoglobin, and this has nothing to do with the hemoglobin. And in the question, it didn't mention that part. Even if it mentions, it's only 23% of the CO2 that's combining with the HB. Not much of a difference, but dissolved, it's from plasma, even though here it's not mentioned, okay, that there's plasma, but bicarbonate is combination of CO2 and H2O in the blood, so it's out. And there's no B and C, it's transporting of O2, that's it. All right, we are at our last question, question 20. Oh, let me check that one. Before I start question 20, this is the QR code for my Telegram and TikTok for any further inquiry or questions you want. Let's start. It's talking about inhalation. Inhalation is the act of bringing air into the lungs. Got it? In that situation, we have diaphragm, here it's mentioned, and rib, muscle, and lungs. These two must contract to expand the chest area. Okay, this is contracting and creating more space upward and outward, while the diaphragm is going to create vertical space for the lungs to expand. Okay, expand or getting larger volume. Fine? But what you don't see here is these words contract and expand and getting larger or smaller. There are other words. Here you need a bit of English proficiency, like we said. Saying shorten is equal to saying contracted. Why? Because anything that contracts is getting shorter. Anything relaxes is going back to its original state, which is longer. Got it? So don't panic. Shorter means it's contracted. For muscles, I didn't say for anything else. Diaphragm flattens. For diaphragm, we have this because diaphragm has a curved shape like that usually. And this is the relaxed state. We call it dome shape. But when diaphragm contracts, this comes down and becomes flatter, creating more space vertically. So when you say flattens, it means contracted. You can notice that these two contract together, so they relax together as well. As for lungs, recoiling, it's not a word usually used here. It's larger or smaller. Let me bring back, we will freshen up your memory. Recoil, we use it for spring. When you extend the spring and then you leave it and it gets shorter, we said what? It's recoiled back to its original state. So it actually means smaller. Okay? Is that correct? No. During inhalation, lungs expand. So it's opposite of what we said. The first two are right. This one is wrong. Answer is D. This is the final question of this video. Thank you for listening and you're welcome. Have a nice day.